Today we're going to make our frame for the baseboard. So we've drawn a bit of a plan. So the plan is how it looks. There's 3 long bits and some other shorter bits that join it all together. We've made ourselves a cutting list so we know what pieces we're going to be cutting. We've got our wood to cut the frame, and of course we need some tools. There's various different tools here that I've lost already. So a saw and a drill and various other bits and pieces. So we'll start cutting the wood, get all the pieces we need, and oh yeah, the saw's down here. Oh, there you go, there's a saw and a drill. We're cutting the timber, so we have to measure it and then draw the lines on where we're going to cut the pieces, and then we saw them off, of course, and then we start to make the frame. So you can see here how the frame is coming together. So we've done the outside pieces. Now we are doing the inside, the cross braces. Once we've done all those, we need 8 cross braces. We've got 1, 2, 3 at the moment, so we need another 5 cross braces, and then we can start putting it all together. We've drilled some holes in the ends of each of the pieces of boards, and I've drilled another little hole in the end piece so that the screw can go through this one into that one. So now we're going to screw the outside frame together. Well, we fixed the outer frame together and screwed it together and glued it, and now I've got a little bracing piece of wood across there to try and hold it square until it dries, so it will dry nicely. So you see we put the screws in all the edges, and we put some glue on, as you can see that, and we use a special tool here called a carpenter's square. So the carpenter's square is hopefully square, and then we put that inside so that we can check that it's actually square. So if it isn't square, like here for example, it's not square, so you see it doesn't fit. So that's what we use to get it square. So that's the outer frame done. Once we've glued up the outer frame, probably tomorrow now, we will then put all the other pieces in as well. Well, we're getting on with the frame. There are lots of pieces all connected together. So we've had to drill them, screw holes in them, measure all the right bits to go in there. We also have to put some glue on the ends. So put some glue on the joints when we screw it together. Also, you see here I've cut some holes into the wood. So this is so that we can put wires through the holes when we wire up the layout a bit later on. We're getting there, not quite finished yet. A few more things to do. And then also we're going to have to paint it, so quite a little bit to do yet. We've completed the frame, all screwed everything and glued it all together. So now we've got some screw holes here that we're going to be putting some filler in to tidy it all up. This is the filler. So we'll squeeze some of this out of the tube, and basically we'll squeeze that into the hole. And then once that's dried off, we'll sand it down. So there's some over here that I've already did a little bit earlier. So you can see that's the filler that's dried. So then we rub a sanding block over it. And you see it starts to take away the filler. So here's one that I finished a little bit earlier. So you see here now, covered up all the screw holes, nice and tidy. We've got the frame finished. I've sanded it down, so now I'm starting to paint it. So putting on some grey paint, so the same as the baseboard. And once we've painted a coat of that, then there's still a few little holes and things that I've got to cut, but then we'll be nearly done. I wanted to get a coat of paint on tonight so that it can dry all night. We're going to drill out or cut out some holes. Here I used a saw, which is probably a little bit easier, but here I just drilled some holes in this one, and then I'm going to use a saw to go ahead and cut that out. So I've done one over here. So yeah, they're not quite as tidy as the other ones, but all we're going to do is use those for putting wires through to power the track and everything else. So I've got quite a few to do one on every single strip. To cut the holes, we're using what's called a coping saw. It's got a very thin blade, so we can actually, you can see how thin the blade is, so we can saw it. We can actually cut cut round corners with this little blade. So it's quite a useful saw. Normally saws cut in straight lines. Like that one's just cutting straight lines, as you can see. So, but this one we can cut round corners. So it's quite... Well, I think I've got the frame finished now. We cut out all the holes for the wires, so you can feed the wires through. So various different wires that we've got. So they're all been cut out. Also, you'll notice I've got the track plan under here. So some of these tracks here, this track here, for example, when it's on the top level, when the baseboard goes on the top, of course, yeah, some of the tracks go down. So this track actually goes down. So you see I've cut out a hole here, so you can put the track down. Same thing here, there's a deeper hole, because this is coming at a lower level than the main flat board. So that track comes round, goes under this. This is going to be a bridge. So this track will come under that bridge and then go around this side. So you see here again, I've cut a little bit lower here as well. So then the tracks carry on. Everything else is at the normal level. Okay, now except this section at the back. Now can you see here we've got some lower level supports here, and also I've glued in some supports in the corners. So I'm going to cut the top board here, and then we're going to sink that down to the bottom level, so that you'll have some of the track on flat, and then it will actually go down. So we're going to create a valley going down, and there's going to be a bridge going across the back here where the track is. Going to be a big bridge that goes across there. We've cut out the frame, cut out the parts that we need. Now we're going to stick the top board onto the frame. So top board's waiting over there to go on. So we're going to put on some glue all the way around the edges. So all around the edges we'll put some glue, and then we'll put the board on and we'll bang some nails in. The baseboard is now attached to the frame. So we are now ready for the next stage. So we're going to start looking at putting down the underlay for the track. So what the track will run on. So that's going to take me a little bit of time. The track bed we're going to be using is foam. It's continuous roll, so we can take it out of the box if we can get it out. And then now you'll see it's like a foam stuff that's flexible. So we're going to measure the sections that we need. So I can start with this section, measure out a piece, how long we need. And then I can cut the piece to size using the sharp craft knife. I'm probably trying to be careful, maybe using an edge, just so I can cut without hurting my fingers. So there, I've cut it off. So now we have the piece of foam that we're going to use for that straight. So then we're going to get some glue. We're going to glue this down so that it will stay in place. And then we can put the track on the top of that afterwards. Now also this goes round corners, so you can see we can bend it round corners. It's actually, I won't show you with this piece, it's split it down the centre. So we can actually split it in the centre and then bend it round. But we'll be doing that when we get to the curves. Now also our layout goes up to a bridge. So to get up to the bridge, we need a way of making the track a bit higher. So we've bought these special foam pieces. And these foam pieces now, you can see they've actually got holes in them. So that means it's very easy to bend them. So now if I want to bend them around the corner, I can put them on the track and bend them around the corner. So you can see here I've got a piece of track on these ones, and you can see the track starts going up and then it's coming off the ground. So that will be going around the corner up onto the bridge on the other side. We've been gluing down some of the track bed, so the black stuff at the bottom you see, that's what we're going to put the track on. And then we've got the risers. So remember we saw those risers earlier, so we can see them coming up. So I've stuck down a bit of a base for the second riser so we can attach that to it. And again on this side as well. So yeah, the second risers need to be glued on, but we wait for the glue to dry on these first ones. So next job to do is to cut out where the track goes down. So this section of track here will be going down, so I need to cut that out. And also there's a whole section here that we need to cut out and drop down as well, because that's going to be a valley and there's a bridge going across the back. So where I'm going to cut, I've marked another line, so I know where I'm going to cut. So we're going to take it outside and we're going to do a little bit of cutting. Now we've moved outside and I've drilled some holes in the board from the other side so I can see where to cut the board, and I've drawn a line over the board so I can see where I need to cut. So you see there's a number of different areas that we've got to cut. So we're going to follow these lines. So that whole section now we're going to be cutting out. So we've also got our special tool for cutting. So this is our Dremel that we bought recently. And of course, that disc will spin and then that's going to cut through the wood. Now, of course, I've got my safety equipment, my safety glasses for when I'm doing the cutting. So that's important to protect your eyes. So I'll set up the camera so you can watch me doing the cutting and we'll come back after it's done. We've been attacking the board with the Dremel, also tried using a drill, but as you can see, it's not cutting through very well. So I think we are going to have to go back to the drawing board and go and look for another tool that we can use to cut the board. So we've got the correct tool for the job now. We have what's called a jigsaw. So the jigsaw is going to cut through this wood very easily. We've drilled some little holes so I can put the blade in, and you can see I've just tested a little cut there just to make sure it actually does cut, and it does. So we will now go ahead and cut the board again. Well, we've cut out the two main parts there. I was on my way cutting out the other little bit of track, because that track goes down underneath a bridge. But as you see, I got a little bit carried away, I think, in putting in the riser before I'd cut the lines. So you can see I can't get the saw now into where the lines are. So I'm probably going to have to drill that and cut it some other way. I'll work something out. It's not critical for now. But yes, so sometimes doing things early is not a good idea. So it's important to get things in the right order. So normally I make a plan for these things, but I didn't on this occasion. So never mind, but we will work it out and it will all be fine. So those other pieces will sink down and we'll have something, a little bit of a frame at the bottom. So we're going to have a valley is going to coming down inside and underneath this. This track is going to be raised up in the valley, and then we've got our bridge or viaduct coming along the back. We've finished cutting now. So we have the centre section. I'm going to glue these boards in place so that they're a bit more stable. I need to put in some little support for this to hold this up. So we'll put a little piece of wood in there and a piece of wood in there just to hold that up so that it's stable. Also over here, the track that we had a problem with, so we managed to cut round here. So now you see the track goes down. So the trains will come along and they'll go down under the board slightly, and then they'll come back up here. Now the reason it goes down is because there's another line that comes over the top here on a bridge. So we're putting in a bridge here. So this line has to go down, so to give us more height on this bridge here, because we can't put this up too high because it's harder for the trains to go up. So we put this track to go down, so we have one going up, one going down, and then we've got room underneath the bridge for the train to come down here. So, and there's going to be a station here on this section, if you remember from the other plan. Well, a few things left to tidy up on the baseboard, and then we can start putting down the track and giving it a run. We'll do that next time.
8:30 p.m.